Hello, hello, hello. We're back. Welcome to You, Me, and the Trinity's Christ Connections and Conversations. Tonight, we have a very interesting topic for you, giving you the best that I got. Girlfriend versus wife duties. Oh, are they separate? Are they one in the same? Of course, you know you got your girls. I'm your cousin, your sister, your auntie, your niece, whatever. Coach Ebony Lachelle. We have Elder Kim, my other half, and we have a special guest tonight. We'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening? What's up? Hey, man, say, man. This is Pastor Josh, man. I'm glad to be here. As we say in the country, I am hippopotamus happy and I'm peacock proud to be on this esteemed panel with you two bad sisters. I'm appreciative, so I appreciate y'all letting me hang out with you.
Well, thank you. I don't know what country you from because they don't
He
say
deep
that.
down. He way deep down in there. I ain't never heard hippopotamus happy. That's so much.
Hippopotamus. And I have her. I ain't gonna lie. I done heard
I ain't
Peacock
never.
Proud before.
Oh, peacock pride, yeah, but hippopotamus happy. That's a new one.
Hippopotamus happy. That's a
Yeah,
lot of it, ain't it?
Thank you for
yeah.
joining us. Thank you.
Yes. So you know how we do. We like to jump right on in there. Right on in there. Um, oh, is there a difference? Should there be a difference? Why is there a difference? You know,
Uh,
there's the
go ahead, sis.
saying they always say, why should a man buy the cow if he getting the milk for free? And I saw that posted. Oh my God, y'all hear my son holler?
It's, it's okay.
I
It's fine.
just told him I was finna be busy. Um, have the times changed so much that that saying is no longer applicable? Let's start there.
Uh, I have my own thoughts, so I'm
Well,
going to be courteous and I'm going to allow Josh to go first. Josh, what do you think? Is that
I mean,
why buy the milk when you can get the cow for free? Is that still the mentality of most men nowadays, or
well,
have time
well,
changed?
well, what we do know is two truths can exist at the same time, right? So on one end, um, yeah, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free, right? But then on the flip side of the coin, there should be a level of, at least in my opinion, of expectation that suggests these will be the benefits that you receive once you sign up to be with me long term. I think one of the things that we also have to consider, and I have to say this transparently, I don't know what wifely duties are because I've never been married. And there's a lot of people in the world now, especially single, who are telling people about what wifely duties look like and what husband duties look like who ain't never been married. So how you know? That's number one. That's just really that kind of troubles me a little bit. But then again, I do think that there is a level of good practice that I think comes from putting certain things in motion and implementing certain things that is a foreshadowing of things to come of what it would be like and should be like when you do cross that threshold of marriage.
Hmm. Okay, so you've never been married before.
Never.
Okay,
And
let
if
me ask.
anybody's on here,
No, I
listen.
mean, oh,
You know what I'm saying?
tell him
I'm
to
just saying.
sell away, sir, sell away. Okay, so let's since we'll get to wifely duties because Ebony and I can both, I think, speak from a wife's perspective because we've been wives. Um, let's start with girlfriend duties. What do girlfriend duties look like for you, sissy?
You said what girlfriend duties look like for me?
For Ebony, I want to see. What? No. Go ahead, Josh. I'm gonna let you answer first.
No, go
What?
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There's no such thing as wifely duties. It's called equal responsibilities, at least as I understand. Okay. Let's start work and then work our way up. Girlfriend duties. What do you consider girlfriend duties? What do you expect, I guess? What are your expectations of a girlfriend?
Well, look, and and this all may just be a issue of semantics, but I think that there's a difference between girlfriend, soulmate, and life partner. Because just because somebody is a girlfriend doesn't mean they're a soulmate, and just because somebody's a soulmate don't mean they're your life partner. And
How
so
do
I
you
think that each one of those has a certain level of expectations, and they require something differently. But for the sake of the conversation and for the benefit of brevity, for me personally, um, what I find to be very necessary is emotional depth. um I have been blessed to have some really beautiful women in my life, um but they were emotional savages. And so for me, I don't even care about your faith walk if you don't even have the ability to have a conversation with me without yelling. um so for me, emotional depth is the number one, um the most important thing when it comes to a girlfriend or looking for someone who is going to be a life partner, because I feel like if someone who is emotionally well, everything else kind of ties in. I'll say this and I'll be done. Somebody that has really good emotional health, they start to look fine. You can take somebody that's average, but when they got good emotional health and they know how to resolve conflict and they can actually want to be in emotionally engaged and in tune with you, they start looking sexy. You're like, you know what, girl, you was a six, but now since we've had conflict and I see how you work it out, girl, you are 10. And then there are those who have been tens, and the moment something arises, they drop down to a two because you realize you are physically fine, but you are internally a mess. So for a lot of men, including myself, emotional wellness is the most critical thing for me.
Okay. Ebony, what do girlfriend duties look like for you? What is it like to be a girlfriend? Emotional help is spot on for both men and women. I agree.
Um, it has changed over the years for me because my desire has always been to be a wife. I tend to, when I'm with someone, if we together, like we together. If I got it, you ain't got it, you got it because I got it. So I'm very much an all or nothing type person. Um, as I have gotten older and learned more about myself and my tendency to give until it hurts, I have created different sets of boundaries. So for me, girlfriend duties is just, you need a little something, I can give you a little something. But I have to see how emotionally stable you are, how you
Mhm.
can stand without me, because I am just trying to be the aid to you. So I really my what I'm gonna do depends on what you do. So I mean, and at this point in time for me, I mean, like it should be very reciprocal. So if we're not reciprocating, we ain't doing nothing. So I think, and especially the older you get, those girlfriend and wife lines blur. They're either going to be blurry, or you're gonna be over here, I'm gonna be over there. When we get together, we together, because there's a movement called Away Together or Together Away, where people are having very significant relationships, but they are maintaining everything about themselves that makes them individuals: their houses, their finances, cars. Like they're having vacations together. So I can be honest and say that my lines blur.
Um, for me, and much like you, I my what I give has changed. And that's just because of my experience. I am one of those people where I will give and give until I can't give anymore. I didn't have a line to divide me from a girlfriend and a wife. And I think that that's been my problem in a lot of relationships, because if I'm with you, like, it takes a lot for me to be involved with somebody, like locked in like that. But once I'm there, if I'm with you, I'm rocking. Um, I'm gonna be transparent. My last serious relationship, I did everything. And we did not live together, but I went to his house. I cleaned his house. I washed his clothes. I cooked his meals. I did everything that a wife would do. And because number one, that's kind of how I was raised. I was always raised, take care of your man. I grew up watching my mother cook for my dad every single day of the week, ironing all of his clothes on Sunday. He had, he didn't have to worry about what he was going to put on because she already had everything already done. So I just took it as that's what a woman does for her man. But my problem that I was running into was I was doing this for the wrong type of man, because in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I'm displaying, attributes of what it would be like for you to be with me. But in their mind, apparently they were like, well, why would I do anything extra or different when you're already giving me everything I need without any more, commitment? So I've willed it back some, just because I've given so much out in the past. I'm not necessarily willing to do that anymore unless there's a level of reciprocity there.
And see, that's part of my difference, because I might wash your clothes sometimes. Like if you come over and your stuff dirty and I'm washing some clothes, I'll wash them for you then. But I'm not gonna wash your clothes all the time. I'm not gonna cook for you every day. I'm not about to do that. Now I'll send you home with a plate, you know what I'm saying? I'll be like, hey babe, I cook, you want something? Come on over. But yes, Josh.
Well, I'm hearing y'all talk about, wifely duties, and the bulk of what you all are saying, and I hear you. It's rooted in doing stuff. And I'm not so sure that that's always a man's expectations, unbeknownst to a lot of women, particularly for black men. Because the moment a black man walks out this door, we are absolutely positively nothing. And so the last thing we want when we come back is somebody who's not present. Because what we have found is you can wash a dish, you can wash some clothes, you can be a gymnast when we shut this door at night. Y'all understand? But if you are not present in my mind and with my heart, that's not the wifely duty that's going to get you wifed. Because in the end of the day, there are two reasons why a man will marry you. And it has nothing to do with why you washing clothes or washing dishes. If you respect me and protect me, I promise you, I will marry you and be faithful. Now, again, I'm not saying that's always going to be the case, but more often than not, what we're looking for is not washing dishes, washing my drawers. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. But there's something far bigger. And a lot of times women miss that. That's what you think we want. And as men, we're not going to say, hey, baby, stop doing that. No, because we like it. But as y'all probably have figured out, or y'all may have homegirls that's found this, you can do all of that and he still step out on you. So that should let you know that it ain't just this. That is what a man requires. It's got to be something far deeper, far more intimate, and far more personal.
Yeah, I think we both kind of discovered that over time. That's why we kind of have the mindset that we have now. But those things are important, because let a woman not do those
Not
things.
do them.
We
Then
gonna
y'all
have
out there
problems.
talking about,
Yeah,
oh,
she don't clean up,
cook,
she don't
she
cook,
don't never
she don't
clean
do
up
this, she
nothing.
don't do that.
She ain't a
But watch
gymnast.
this. Watch this. That usually is the secondary complaint. It's 9 times out of 10, that is not the primary issue. The primary issue is we don't feel safe. The secondary issue is you ain't cooked nothing. You ain't washed no drawers. You ain't even trying to put on no sexy. Put on your red dress. You ain't did none of that. But the reality is that's really the secondary issue. The primary concern is you never gave us a space to feel safe because you never made us feel like we mattered. You only cared about what we do. Did you take the trash out? Did you pay this? Did you do this? So oftentimes when you hear a woman, if you ask a lot of women, I'm not saying y'all, but if you ask a lot of women, well, what is it you look for a man? The top characteristics sounds like a slave. He's got to do this. He's got to do this. He's got to do this. Well, do you love me just for me being a man? Am I respected outside of what I do? As mothers, you all know the worst thing, and I'm not a parent, but I have a lot of school children. The worst thing that you can imagine is when you feel like your child only wants you when they want something. They don't want you just because I love you, just because I gave you life, just because I put food on the table. You want me because you want some J's. You want me because you want this. You only doing this because it becomes this exchange. You know, I'm doing this to get this. Nah. A man will always feel safe and he will go the extra mile when you make him feel like his presence is just as important as his work. But oftentimes a lot of women make it feel like his work is far more important than his presence. I feel like I'm preaching.
You preached, but
You preached a little bit.
a lot of it. But so can I offer that the way that we have been reared and that our parents were reared and that their parents were reared actually directly relates to the current breakdown of our families. Okay. Women are reared to, okay, when you look for a husband, he needs to do A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. And so therefore, and if you are told that a man is supposed to protect and provide for you, then you are naturally looking for a man who can protects and provides. And being that for a lot of men, love for everybody, it should be love is an action word. It's an action verb. You can say you love something, but if you haven't done anything to show me that you love me, then how do I know that you love me? Like if you say, if I say, sissy, girl, I love you. But when you are at your lowest moment, if you can't pick up the phone, if I'm not there, then I haven't shown you that I loved you. So, and an acts of service is considered, one of the five love, one of the love languages is if you can, I love you for being a man. I love your presence, but and I hate being the step for step person, but you want us to provide a piece that oftentimes you don't provide.
Well, hold on. See, I knew, and I was intentional with using.
And I hate being that person because I hate those type of people. But we're gonna get to some of these questions in here too. But I mean, like you have to. We often bring the piece with us, but a lot of times,
So I was very intentional with using the language that I did because why is it that when a man talks about and I will not get into gender wars because we black folks and we all in this together. That's what I'm not gonna do.
Okay.
But this is just a thought. Why is it when a man talks about what he needs, the inference is, well, you got to make sure that if you want this, you got to make sure you provide this. So why isn't the assumption already that he's providing that? Why is it always or typically? Why is it typically the man ain't doing this? So as a consequence, we've got to question if whether or not I can affirm your presence.
Because
In most
historically, he ain't
cases,
doing it.
in most cases, if she's complaining about it, he's not doing
He's not
it.
doing it.
In most cases,
Hold on, say that again, Evan.
In most cases, if we are complaining about it, you not doing
it's not
it.
being done.
It's not being
Well,
done.
well, since we're gonna be all the way wrong, in most cases, I find that y'all complain about it and still stay.
Yeah, so do y'all. And I'm not that a tit for tat person. But
Of course,
everybody
look,
stays.
watch this. Of course we gonna stay because you still cooking, you still cleaning, and you ain't expecting nothing else from us. Absolutely. But y'all on the other end will still stay
Who
and
stays?
then leave the relationship or go through all of this trauma and damage and then say how much it broke you down as if you were forced to stay. Now there are some situations. Let me make sure I leave space to those that experience abuse, because that is not just you can just leave. So for those that are hearing that, I certainly pray for those and in prayer with you. I don't subscribe to that belief. If you being abused, you can just leave. It don't work like that. No. But for those who are not experiencing that, you still have the voluntary option to leave or stay, but you decide to stay. So this is where oftentimes what I see is it is so much expectation of the man being accountable and so little expectation of the woman being accountable.
Are you not the leader?
Oh my God.
Are men not the leaders of the
You're supposed
household?
to be
Should
the
we not
leaders.
follow your lead? Because if we
No,
don't
well,
follow your
see,
lead, then we have an
I
issue.
have
We
a
don't know how to be submissive and all of these other terms that people like to use.
well,
So when
see,
a man
I
needs
try
to
to
be
have
in a
I try to have an African perspective where I understand we are leaders together. I don't believe in no hierarchy. That's me. Again, y'all don't have to agree with that. I'm not asking you to agree. We are leaders together. So the whole, again, before I became a protector and a provider, guess what I was? A person. That you
Okay.
can't argue with.
So
Before I even knew what it was to pay a bill, I was a person. Before I knew what it was to take care of you and ensure that you be safe, guess what I was? I was a person first.
All right. I want to get the Cordell. In the talking stage, is it possible that premature loyalty in a girlfriend-boyfriend state is unhealthy, meaning is giving wife to boyfriend before he shows husband toxic?
But by the way, these folks are my people, Javon and Cordell and Mike. Them all my folks. What's up with y'all?
Hey, trash people! Thank y'all for joining.
I don't know if I would go so far as to describe it as being toxic, but I will say it to some extent it can be very unhealthy, because for most women, when we go in and we provide those acts of service, we do that because, like we stated previously, number one, we're kind of reared that way as women. This is what you do, especially if we love you and we see a future with you and we desire to be your wife. We're going to do what wifely things, and it's almost like a pick me. I hate to say it like that, but that's pretty much what it is. Like, let me display what I can do for you, and maybe you will marry me, but that's not always the case. And when that's not, like, I'm gonna be transparent enough to say that was my mind frame. Like, okay, from what he tell me, he ain't never had this, and this. All right, but these are my strong points. I love to cook. I love to serve. I'm gonna clean up. I'm gonna wash your clothes. These are things that I naturally love to do. Let me do this. And in the end, it still didn't matter because we're still not together. So, and then I had to heal from my own expectations. The hidden sin, I had to heal from my own expectations. Like Josh said, it was unhealthy, but I stayed because I was thinking in the long run something was going to pay off. But in actuality, it's not a guarantee. But me staying was extremely unhealthy. And doing wifely things as a girlfriend, thinking it's gonna get me, the wife role, that was extremely unhealthy. So I am an advocate for boundaries in relationships. As they grow, you do most.
Oh, I think the role changes. Men do house duties as well. I was shocked and had to to get used to it. He cooked, fixed my plate, and cleaned the kitchen. I felt like a queen. Um, I did have a significant other who would do that. Like when I went to his house, he because he loved to cook, he'd be like, "All right, girl, just sit down." I didn't move. He would cook, he would clean, he would. I'm like, "You want me to help wash this?" Mm-mm, mm-mm. So he would fix my plate too. It would be good too. Mm. But yeah, I think I have noticed that as the culture changes, so do expectations. So is what is considered culturally appropriate. So there are and going back to what you said, Josh, there's a growing number of men who do want a present woman. And so they are taking on more of what has been long defined as women duties so that she can be more present for him. And I agree that being present is important for both parties.
So, in doing a little bit of research, y'all, for this particular conversation, I came across a list of things that girlfriends should not be doing for their boyfriends, right? And so, the number one thing on this list,
Let me get my notes out. What, girl?
they say don't sleep with these men. They say
don't sleep with him.
Do not sleep with him. That's what they say.
You should have You should have did it backwards. What's the number two thing?
No. Let's lean in on that.
We can talk about it.
Let's lean in on that. Do y'all agree? Because I'm finna make a turn. Do y'all agree?
Sanctified.
Why y'all get quiet? Come on.
We're gonna keep it a buck. We're gonna keep it a buck. Honestly and truthfully, I don't think you should.
You don't think you should what?
You should be having sex with a man that ain't your husband. I ain't sitting up here like I'm a virgin. I'm not sitting up here like I'm a virgin. However, like we just said in the beginning, and like you just kind of came back and confirmed, y'all still be there. What we doing it for? What we doing it for? Why? Why are we doing this? Why? For what?
For what reason?
Why? You don't feel like it's sacred or something that. So if you get with the woman, right, and she decides, hey, I'm just letting you know off rip, I'm celibate. I don't desire to have sex until I'm married. Like, and she's strong.
Well, first of all, anybody who says they don't desire to have sex until is lying, but that's a whole nother story. Go ahead.
That might be their desire. Like that might be their true heart's desire. They don't want to have sex until they're married. Okay, but what's gonna be your response? Are you going to continue to entertain her?
He finna cut her loose.
You say that last part again?
Oh, entertain.
Are you going to continue to talk to
entertain
her,
get to know her, further the relationship,
date her, court her?
If she don't want to have sex,
yeah.
Right?
Of course, I still want to get to know her.
Okay.
So what's the problem with rule number one of not having sex with him if he's not your husband?
I mean, but that's again, that sounds real evangelical and deep. But that's
this ain't even a Christian article. This was like a sister girl, like, girl, let me just tell you, don't sleep with that.
Well, I'm sure if you probe deep enough, she has some evangelical, some tendencies. I'm just saying, like, it's just not practical. But I find that when things get physical, that's where things get real dicey. And that's where we oftentimes don't really want to have conversation. Like, what do you do when you are trying to be holy and you're also horny at the same time? Like, let's what do you do when you deal with this kind of space and you've been single but you want to be married? Like, what do you do? Who is that? What's up, yo? What do you do in those spaces? And the reality is, we're having sex or we're doing something sexual, and oftentimes things change when we get physical. That's a reality. But we got to dig deeper than just don't sleep with them. Well, okay, is it that simple, and is that honest? Like, let's just keep.
I mean, she kind of goes into it a little bit. She kind of goes into it a little bit, and it's pretty much the same thing you're saying because it's such an emotional act. You know, it can cloud your vision for
It
other
does
things.
cloud your vision.
It clouds your vision. It clouds your judgment, especially if it's good. Like, I know he doing X, Y, and Z, but he got, and you get lost in the sauce, and you end up wasting time because you start to see the signs. We might not work in a relationship, but we work in the bedroom. But you say you want a husband, so you wasting time.
So when in you all's mind, when is a good time to cross that line to have sex?
I think with being an emotional creature, sleeping with men does sometimes create expectations that may not ever be fulfilled. You have to be grounded and know how to keep your feelings in check to make that work.
Y'all, that's my spiritual daughter. I got all my folks is on here, y'all. I'm talking about all of them came on here today.
Thank y'all for joining. But it's true. It's not that it might be easy for men to not be emotionally attached, but it's like I'm sure you've probably experienced a girl or a lady, woman, whatever, who you weren't necessarily feeling in that manner, but you put that thing down on her and you couldn't get rid of her after a while because she was so emotionally and physically attached to what you gave her.
I don't know. I think, and I think both of y'all have alluded to this. As culture, as things change, it's some savages for women out here now. There's some women who can be with a man, sleep with a man, and go on about their business. They'll leave you in the bed like old girl did in Boomerang. I'm talking about won't and think not twice about it. Like, okay,
you're right. Bye. But is that healthy? Does that make it right?
No, it don't make it right. I think it just speaks to there's something going on in the middle that we're still glossing over. Like as singles, as those that are dating, and we're not getting to the core of a lot of things. We just kind of treat everything delicately.
Y'all want to be honest? We're gonna talk honest, or we just gonna?
Well, y'all know anything I do, I'm just
gonna go ahead and tell y'all. There was a period in my life where I very much learned how to separate the. I very much learned how to separate it. I did. If we do whatever. I ain't never got to talk to you again. If you don't call me, I'm gonna be all right. But the truth beyond that, underneath those layers, that was a defense mechanism that I put up because I've been in situations I prematurely had sex with someone, got emotionally involved, and then had to cry my way, pray my way, whatever, out of that bondage. So why keep subjecting yourself to maybe? Why keep going back, pulling up demons that you don't already been, I hate to say it, but delivered from? It's easier just to stay away from it. Or you're going to create, like I said, emotional walls for somebody else to knock down that they didn't have a part in building. So
but I think there's a space in which we got to be honest too, that as women, as the natural energy that you all have as nurturers, when you all and you all tell me if I'm right or wrong. This is just a hypothesis. When you all see a man that is a project, that is far more exciting to you than a man who comes with batteries included. Meaning, a brother who ain't got it quite together, you can see your hand in him, you being influential in him reaching his potential. But a brother who you ain't got to teach, who you ain't got to train, who you ain't got to give the game to X, Y, and Z, that can be overwhelming, and you don't see your nurturing nature being involved in his process. Is that possible?
Baby, rehab closed.
2030. That was so true for 2030, but 42-year-old Kim ain't got time to be nobody's battery pack. I ain't got time to be teaching certain things. Like, you gotta come already equipped with some things. I don't have that.
But hold on, Kim. But you all are saying this at 40 something. Y'all not saying this at the age when y'all's trauma was being built.
But that's why the trauma was built. That wanting to fix somebody means you have an emotional deficit. So we're talking about us at this point. At this point, if you want to go and rehab somebody, go for it. But emotional boundaries are there for a reason, just like the guardrails when you are driving down the highway. No, ma'am, the rehab of Coach Ebony Lachelle is closed. I need you to be emotionally intelligent. I need you to be spiritually fit. And if I had stuck to my guns and my standards, in my 20s, I would not have encountered the emotional and spiritual trauma that I did. I don't recommend that for anybody. So, ladies, if you out there listening to me, do not need to see your hands in their emotional, spiritual, physical development, because that's God's job. It is
Baby,
not
you
yours.
can't fix nothing you ain't created.
You
You can't even fix
So
something.
I got a question.
All you can do is fix that man a plate sometimes.
I got a question.
Okay.
So and this kind of get to what we're talking about as well. So first, what constitutes as an emotional healthy man in you all's examples?
A man that can admit his trauma and that has worked on it, is actively working on it, and is moving past it actively. If every time something comes up, you still bringing up what mama and them, grandmama and them, CC them did, like you ain't trying to heal, but you using that thing as a crutch, or you ripping it off and on like a band-aid, you ain't ready. You ain't ready, because that gets you attention. Now, when you ready to heal for real, all right, we can talk. But as long as
so let me ask you something, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Did your last relationship do that?
As far as what?
Like, what did it?
In the beginning, he was no. In the beginning, he presented himself extremely well. Which is how I was bewitched. He presented himself extremely well as somebody that was already, the ability to communicate is attractive. As somebody that was already, had done their work, it was the whole, I've gone to therapy, I know my triggers, I did this and that. And he displayed those attributes. He did. But as time changed, time went on, I guess a person can only pretend for so long. And the truth came out. But you made sure that you had me kind of, locked in, because you knew I wasn't going for no foolishness as far as like, I'm emotionally damaged and all this and that and other, because we had several conversations before we even became a couple. Like, we dated and talked for several months before we became a couple. So he vetted me. I hate to use that language. But he did. But he did. He vetted me.
He did, because when you get in relationships and you just like when somebody asks me now, what are you looking for? I'm looking for you to be you.
Thank you.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see what you're going to do. What are your likes? What are your desires? What makes you happy? How you gonna react when we get in this argument? That's what I want. I want you to be you.
Because if you give them the playbook,
they're gonna play you like
I went through this and I don't want to go through this no more. In the beginning, they're gonna be everything that you say that you want in the beginning. That's if they don't have good intentions.
I got a question. Mm-hmm. Josh.
Come on.
What is an emotionally healthy man? What does that look like? Are you emotionally healthy? Do you feel that you are emotionally healthy?
Oh, it's not a feeling. I know.
Okay.
And part of that is just because I've done the work, and then as a pastor, it requires you to be emotionally healthy. But then I'm a young dude in an old body, I guess you can say. So I grew up around older people, and I grew up in the country, so I matured a little bit quicker than most. But I don't think that there is a one size fits all emotionally healthy person or man. I think that we know what we just know that we know what healthy is and we know what unhealthy is. But I think that people have different things. For me, it used to be when I felt like she came at me sideways, let me not address it and then act passive aggressive about it later on. That's unhealthy, right? Until I learned, no, Josh, like you can actually, deal with that awkwardness because nobody wants it because it's awkward. Deal with that uncomfortability, talk in a low tone, talk in a respectful tone. One of the things for me that indicates you're emotionally healthy, when somebody's talking, try your best to not cut them off. I'm not saying I do it flawlessly because I do, but I try my best, especially if I'm getting to know a woman, like, because what I want to do is I want to convey that I am a safe space so that way when I talk, I hope I get that same level of respect. That's what emotionally healthy is for me, but I think it looks differently for different men, because we all come to this thing called love in a different kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what it looks like for me.
Okay, because you went a whole way around, but you still ain't really answered my question. So
Okay.
what I need for you to do is if you were talking, say you had a daughter, and if you were going to tell her, baby, if he don't display these 3 things, then he is not emotionally healthy. Give me 3 things. Because there are certain things that every emotionally healthy or every physically healthy person will possess. Those are called baseline things. So there should be at least 3 baseline things that you can say every emotionally healthy man should possess the ability to do. Run me 3
See,
things.
for me, I disagree with that. I don't think there are 3 things. I don't focus so much on instances. I focus on patterns. So I feel like everybody can have bad days. If we look at scripture, it
Instances
looks like
creates patterns though. So there should still be a couple of things
so
that
I
you should
still stand
have.
on my square. And again, what I would tell her is this particular area that you find to be something challenging, has he demonstrated a pattern that there's no growth, that there's no intention on trying to evolve? That would be what I would say, okay, that's what needs to be rectified. And if it does not seem to be rectified, then that's what you need to ditch. I do fundamentally believe you got to teach people how to treat you. I believe that. But once I have taught you, and it's not once because we're always teaching, right? When it has been evident that I am committed to teaching you, but you seem to be committed to not wanting to learn, now we've got a problem. Because helping you should not hurt me. Period. So again, I don't focus so much on the bad day or the bad days. I focus on the patterns. So even if there are 3 things, again, I'm looking at the patterns. Have they demonstrated patterns in this area? Because here's the reality. In our generation, people leave relationships too soon. We know people whose wedding ceremonies lasted longer than the marriages. All because something didn't feel right. All because, well, you know what? My daddy told me this, and my mama told me this. If you really are this, you wouldn't do this. That ain't true. You base it off of patterns. You don't base it off of a bad instance or a bad day. Everybody is entitled to some bad days. And if you're going to walk with somebody and do life with somebody, you're going to have a whole bunch of bad days. But if they demonstrate that they care about you, there will be some patterns that suggest that they're trying.
But if it's continual ill treatment,
if it's what?
Continual mistreatment, that becomes a pattern. Like how long is somebody supposed to but how long is somebody supposed to put up with that? Because like that'll go a whole nother direction. We ain't even gotta We ain't even got to answer that question.
No,
right
but I
there.
think the answer is simple. It's not a how long, because your how long is different from a how long, from my how long. I think that's where we oftentimes get bogged down is one person's in your ear about this and another person's in your ear about this, but you feel a certain kind of way. It's different. It's different person to person. When you get tired, you'll know when it's enough. But I think when it comes to relationships, and even as we talk about wifely duties versus girlfriend duties, well, what may work for one may not work for the other. And we got to be very careful and cautious with trying to put everything into one box, because it may be a woman who says, I done been hurt 1,000,000 times, but it just works for me that I want to wash his drawers and I want to cook his food. And what we as a society do is we have women who will shame the woman because that's what she wants to do. They call her a pick-me. And we on the other end, it's a brother who says, nah, I believe in saying I'm sorry. I believe in actually not cheating on my woman. Oh, he gets called a simp. Because in this world we live in, guess what? Right is wrong and wrong is right. But when we actually learn to think for ourselves, many of these questions won't even be a question, period.
Okay.
And I stand on that.
I'm gonna shift a little bit. I'm gonna shift and turn around.
Okay.
Living together, shacking.
Who?
Living together.
We got
Shack
10
up.
minutes. We got 10
We're
minutes.
gonna go fast. Living together and shacking. Yes or no? As you know, y'all know what shacking is. Yes or no? Boyfriend, girlfriend. Should that be a thing?
Are you saying should?
Are y'all with it? Are y'all like personally? Like we ain't talking about, we're just talking about personally.
Go, Josh, you're our guest.
Are you with living with your girlfriend, Josh?
I've tried it. It's not for me. But I understand why other people do it, and I affirm it. Because while we want to impose certain scriptures that don't exist, because it ain't nowhere in the Bible that talk about shacking, first of all. The reality is, living together is a financial decision. The world we live in now, it ain't got nothing to do with nothing else other than financial. And 2 incomes is better than 1. So I affirm it for others, and I think that it can be healthy for others. It just hadn't worked for me.
Okay, was that just one experience that brought you to that conclusion, or was there more than one experience?
Yeah, I just had one experience, and I got enough sense to know I don't need to keep walking in a wall to know that the wall is made of concrete.
Ebony, how you feel about shacking?
That's a no for me personally. Yeah,
okay.
that's a no.
All right, I was just curious.
What about you?
Oh no, I ain't gonna be able to do it. I've been there, done that. Got a t-shirt with a hole in it. No, I'm gonna need a whole hug.
But look, let's unearth this just real quick. What is the reason why people don't believe in shacking? Because I contend people think it's a biblical, spiritual reason that it doesn't exist. But why do y'all think that people believe shacking is a bad thing?
Well, for me personally, it don't have nothing to do with sex, because I can come over your house, have sex, and go home to my house. So that ain't got nothing to do with it.
But is that perspective the norm though?
Probably not. Most people probably do associate it with the biblical stance.
Yeah.
Because it's associated. Let not your evil good be evil spoken of, and all that other stuff. These other scriptures that they throw at you. They feel like if you stay with a man or a woman that y'all is having sex, y'all fornicating, y'all sinning. That's just the bottom line of it. But just for me, I'm not. Right after this, we have a Zoom call we got to jump on. But I don't even think we got to the meat and potatoes. I don't even think we got to the meat and potatoes. I think
we didn't. We'll definitely.
Well, we got to do a part 2 then.
Yeah. We definitely got to do a part 2. I think we overbooked today, but yeah, we got to do a part 2. Cause we ain't even. I got a whole page of stuff we ain't.
We'll definitely have to do a part 2.
Yeah, I'm
Joshua,
gonna keep
thank
it
you for
live.
coming on and talking with us, sharing your perspective. This has been You, Me, and the Trinity's Christ Connections and Conversations. We will be here not next week, but week after. I don't know if we're gonna do the part 2 then, or we're gonna do something else. We're gonna see however the Lord moves.
We might slide on into the part 2 because I
Might
got
slide
some
on.
stuff on. Yeah, I think we should.
Slide
If Josh is available, Josh, you
I'm
feel
gonna
like
be
you need
available. And
another male
plus, my
counterpart?
birthday's April 30th, so this will be a good birthday present to do part 2. So let's do it.
All right, well,
Oh,
let's
boy,
get
happy
it. Let's get it. Do you have? I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about
Yeah,
it.
we'll.
Definitely, yeah. All right, part 2 in 2 weeks. We'll see y'all.
All right, we'll see y'all. Love y'all. Good night.
Appreciate y'all. Yep.